The Bob TV Network presents, broadcasting live from the greatest city in the world, New York City. It's the Bobby Brown Show. And now here's your host, Bobby Brown.
Today we got a lot to talk about today, and I don't even know if I'm on right now. So if I am on, let me see. I'm still getting back in my groove. I just chatted with my Information Man show. Go check out the brother's show. It's excellent. I just watched the one he did on the Passport Brothers. Matter of fact, the topic that I'm going to talk about right now, I ain't going to go into, I'm going to talk about it, but if you want more detail, I mean serious detail information on this particular topic, especially the ins and out of the proposal of the reparations proposal in San Francisco, go to that brother channel and do what you can to support him, because the brother got excellent content. And I learned a lot of stuff from watching him. He's one of my main go-to when it comes to doing this YouTube thing, as well as a couple other friends of mine that I have also. But he's one who I watch quite often whenever I get a chance. And so go check out that brother channel, the Information Man Show. And I'm telling you, you're going to get some great analysis from this brother. Smart, intellectual, got his stuff together. And again, just want to let you know that he's one of the brothers that I look up to when it comes to doing this type of stuff. Give me a second. Like I said, I'm still getting familiar with this new software. Trying to step my game up. Got a better camera now. Used. Got it from Facebook Marketplace. And, I ain't buying no brand new 4K camera. I got this one from Facebook Marketplace. Brother ain't got that kind of money right now to be spending on a Shure SM7B. I know that's the hardest mic out, but this one does just as well. Only cost me $125. They got some alt brand stuff out there that does just as well. It ain't about the dollar, it's about getting the content out. But I like my little Vocaster right here. Let's get into this. Recently in San Francisco, because of people like you and the black grassroots movement and the supporters of the black grassroots movement who are not black, especially the FBA, Foundational Black Americans, Native Black Americans. I say FBA, NBA, who really been vigilant and staying on code and being laser focused on these demands for reparations. Never in a time in our history where we have been this freaking focused. Now that we know the real Martin Luther King and his endeavor after the Poor People's Campaign was to go out there and get reparations for his people, not poor people, his people, the Native Black Americans, the Foundational Black Americans. And he went in detail about the land grab and the money that was given to basically empower financially people who they would never considered white, but decide to give them the white pass just to get their numbers up, because they were a minority in this country. They were a minority. And slaves were populating like wildfire because they needed, nobody wants to buy slaves. Look, if I got a couple pit bulls around the house, female and male, I'm not going to buy another pit bull. I'm going to start breeding. And that's what people started doing. They started making these slaves breed more slaves so they can have more hands on the field. Anyway, not going to get into that. The reparations message is very simple. Foundational Black Americans, those who've been here since the beginning, Native Black Americans, those who were here before the settlers even came here. And I'm not just talking about Native Americans. I'm talking about people who actually did trade back and forth from different parts of the world into the Americas, which was known at that time Turtle Island. The land mass was different. It was easy to connect America, especially the Americas, to Africa. It didn't have that water gap. You guys can do your history. The things that black people had to go through, the torture, the torment, not just the free labor, but the undermining, the redlining, the conning and scheming, the domination. I don't want to go on a list of things that you can know about that happened to black Americans. I refer a lot of you people to go watch Tariq Nasheed on Hidden Color series. Go watch the American Maroon video. Watch Jason's Black, his documentaries, gentrification, just a whole bunch of stuff. And you'll get a little detail on why people are demanding reparations. We pretty much built this country for free. We didn't want to build it for free. We would like to get paid. We would like to be free to build. We would like to freely work like regular people and get a check or get paid like everybody else, but no. And a lot of people got filthy, stinking rich and built empires off the slave trade. And people come to me, well, San Francisco, California didn't have no slave men. And there were slaves all over America. All over America. Now, different states began to wake up to become more anti-slavery at certain times, but the slave trade continued to go on. People were bringing their slave to the West. So don't ever think that the West don't owe reparations too. Who told you that? They do. Now, I want to get into this great news that came out of San Francisco. Let's hear it.
San Francisco supervisors today heard more than 100 recommendations from a city-appointed reparations committee tasked with figuring out how to atone for centuries of slavery and systemic racism. San Francisco is considering a reparations proposal that includes a $5 million lump sum payment for each eligible black person. San Francisco could become the first major U.S. city to fund reparations as the idea gains traction across the country. Reparations advocates say the harms of slavery have continued since its official end in 1865. But critics say reparations are flawed and financially unfeasible. Before today's meeting, supporters held a rally to talk about why they believe reparations are needed.
We've heard a lot of critics, and even some of you may be questioning, why would we be seeking reparations for black San Francisco?
By the way, fair use, YouTube. Fair use. I don't get money for this. I do it for free. I do it for the cost.
Franciscans. Many folks often say that California and San Francisco specifically did not enslave black people. And so there's lots of history that obviously needs to be researched, and I'm putting that responsibility on all of you to do that.
Black people
Facts.
make up 6% of San Francisco's population and 38% of its homeless residents. Today, supervisors expressed support for reparations that were presented to them, but that does not mean that all those recommendations will ultimately be adopted.
And that doesn't mean it won't be adopted. 6% of the San Francisco population. And a lot of that comes from bad laws that eradicated a lot of us during that time. A lot of us worked the railroads leading into the West, and a lot of us died of hard labor. A lot of us worked so hard where we wasn't of good use, and they would take us somewhere and shoot us. So, I mean, this did not just happen in the killing souths of America. This happened across the board. So just because you don't have any record in your face, or just because they told you that slavery didn't happen in San Francisco, doesn't mean there was no slaves in San Francisco. And that they didn't. Slavery was a worldwide epidemic at that time. Free labor was the thing to do. And then people started to get a conscience and started to stop the slave trade, stop participating in the slave trade. I guess they got guilty or something, had a guilty conscience, like England. England stopped the slave trade in Africa. And a lot of people didn't want to deal with that. But that doesn't mean other countries didn't stop doing business in the slave trade. Doesn't mean they stopped selling slaves. But these people are really, really working hard to get these things done. And a hearing is better than a study. Now, understand, this is just a hearing. This is just a proposal. People losing their freaking mind over a proposal. It's not etched in stone. It's not a done deal. But you're losing your mind any freaking way.
The board can vote to approve, reject, or change any or all of those recommendations, and a final committee report is due in June.
All right, for more now, we are joined by Eric McDonald, chair of San Francisco's African American Reparations Advisory Committee. Thanks so much.
Now, let me stop there. That's the part that we got to clear up. And that's the part that people who are demanding reparations need to clear up. Because you're going to have to qualify for this, number one. And number two, you're going to have to prove it. And number three, you got to stop saying African American. I'm here to educate you, and I'm not the only person. The African American term was thrown on the black community mainly during Jesse Jackson's run for president. We used to be called Negroes at one time. Those Negroes. It wasn't black Americans or African. They called us the Negroes. Then we became part of those colored folks. You know, those colored folks down there, buddy. The colored folks getting out of hand over there in San Francisco, man. So y'all need to shape them boys up. Them colored folks. And then the African American came. That term is so broad and so loose that this will end up being a problem when you're trying to fight for reparations. Because at the end of the day, you got to figure out who this is supposed to go to. Does it go to all black people? And the answer is it should not go to all black people because all black people didn't go through chattel slavery in the Americas, in the United States. Anybody that come from Africa and become an American citizen can stake claim as an African American. And they'll try to go and try to stake a claim to any kind of recompense, any kind of reparation, just on the fact, hey, hi guy. Look, I'm Claude Butterbill, and I'm an African American. I was born in Cape Town. My dad was heavily involved in the apartheid of Cape Town. And I went to America and got an education, decided to live here and got my citizenship here. So I am an African American. And technically, that would be true. Anybody from Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, Uganda, Chad, you name it. If they come to America and decide to become an American citizen, they will be considered African American. Matter of fact, they'll look down on native black Americans and say, I'm a real African American. You are not. You don't even know who you are. They'll even tell us that we don't know who we are. Dude, we ain't got to tie ourselves to thousands of centuries to know who we are. We know who we are, but we just identify with our legacy here because we built this freaking country. And you guys are coming here. And you're coming here to live the American dream off the Americans, or black Americans' nightmare, native black Americans' nightmare. So this brings that argument. People say, well, why should I have to pay? I come from Iran. I come from Iraq. Because you bought into the American dream. You bought into it. But that American dream has a debt on it. So just like when you buy a house with a lien on it, or you buy any kind of a property that has a tax on it, something like that, guess who's going to have to pay that tax? You do. So it's no different. Now, I'm not saying that reparations is coming out of your pocket. I don't know. There's so many ways to pay for reparation. We sit up here funding a freaking war over and over again, billions of dollars, and we don't know where that money is coming from. So you're going to hear a lot of talking points in these videos on that particular subject. Let me let this play. Doggone keyboard getting stuck on me.
For joining us. I'd like to start off with what we're just hearing from the San Francisco NAACP saying now that they would actually want to reject the reparations one-time payment in favor of investments in key areas of education, economy, housing, healthcare.
Yeah, but lady, The NAACP don't speak for black people. The NAACP is a colored people organization, which means it's not black. Started off with majority black, but it's not black. They don't speak for us. And when you sit there and embrace what they say, then we're going to have to come and push back on you because they don't speak for us. NAACP don't speak for black people. They work for black people, but they don't speak for us. The Black Church don't speak for us. National Action Network don't speak for us. Nobody speaks for us but us. We have a code that speaks for us. We have an agenda that speaks for us. We ain't leaning on no leaders. So they're going to bring this up to try to deflect that, and it kind of eases their mind. Oh, well, the NAACP said this is not a good thing, and that they're rejecting it. Nobody give a crap what the NAACP think. Most of them sold out to the Democratic Party anyway, and they ain't nothing but a bunch of bootlegs anyway. The NAACP haven't had any balls since a long time. They only come around when somebody get murdered or something like that. They're actively pushing a black agenda. They're pushing the Democratic agenda. Look, guys, you're going to hear this, people always, the NAACP or people who are part of Black Lives Matter. These people don't represent the black grassroots movement, majority of black America. And you can throw them in our face all you want. And folks, I'm telling you, especially my white brothers and sisters, they can throw them all your face to try to ease your tensions on this reparation thing. But they don't represent us, and we ain't going to let them represent us. And we're going to shut them down and shut them up because they don't. Who cares what they say? They don't represent us. And people in San Francisco, people here in New York, if you on a task force, you got to push, you got to be loud and proud and say, look, these bootleg organizations don't represent us. Black caucus don't represent us. The Congressional Black Caucus don't. Nobody, none of them. They can't speak for us. Who? Calm down. Who are they to talk for us? Get out of here.
And the Fillmore Heritage Center in the black community. Can we get your thoughts on this?
They don't represent black people either.
Happy to share my thoughts. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to come spend a few minutes with you all. Coming to that question, I would first say this is an historic day. It's a historic moment where we are having serious, intentional, deliberative conversations about reparations in San Francisco. Short time ago, not thought possible, and yet here we are. And so, as is expected, as the committee has done its hard work, developed this draft plan that we will work to make final in June.
Before we go any further, understand this, brothers and sisters. You did this. You pushed this. You stood flat foot, immovable, unshakable, unbreakable for this. The church, much as I would like to say, had our back in this, they didn't. And I think he's standing in the church, and he may be representing the church. They ain't had nothing to do with this. The black media, nothing to do with it. Maybe the new black media, but not traditional black media. That's pretty much owned by corporate America. They didn't have nothing to do with that. They didn't have anything to do with this. You did. You did. Now, to my immigrant brothers and sisters that's on this committee, you already know that this thing is supposed to go to Native blacks and foundational black Americans. Don't get on a committee to undermine it. You're there to help. And unfortunately, if we find out that you're undermining, you're going to be out of it. Like your help, but don't need it. Like your help, don't need it. But this is just a stepping stone to help you get what you need to get from the countries who oppressed you and stole from you. I mean, you might have gained independence in your country, but your country is still dependent on these colonizers. Still dependent on England and the Queen of England. Y'all even call your school Queen's School and all that kind of stuff. You're still tied up to these slave owners or former slave owners. You did this grassroots movement, not this brother. This brother sits on the committee. He sits on the committee because you pushed the narrative.
There are folks who are bringing all kinds of points of view, right, about it. So we respect that. I'm aware of the NAACP's perspective. Without commenting deeply about it, I would say that represents an or context, and we are offering an and context. So
right.
We respect that the NAACP can obviously share its perspective. We as a committee as a whole don't share that perspective.
All right, so let's talk about the notion.
Right. Now, I'm glad that brother said that. We saying 5 million and the NAACP coming with their mess. We don't buy that. And more people on these committees have to stand flat foot and shout the NAACP down. And if there's a particular leader in the NAACP that's pushing this bull crap, because I can't imagine most black people would say anything bad about this. It's somebody that's entrenched in a agenda to undermine this movement. And a lot of times they'll use black bootlicks to do it. You think it's the look? I'm gonna show you some white people on the left and right don't like this, but your main problem is gonna be the black bootlicks that don't like this. Well, I don't need reparation. There you go, being selfish again. I'd rather work for my money. Stop being a dummy. Let me keep going.
Of these $5 million payments to individuals in San Francisco, you actually say this is a low figure. If you look at the totality of the harm that's been caused by slavery in this country, why do you believe that those cash payments are so crucial?
In answering that question, let me just make clear. There are 111 recommendations in the report. While I'm happy to speak to this one, I want to make it really clear. It is but one of 111, and our intention is to ensure that Black San Franciscans who have experienced significant harm over the history of San Francisco have opportunities in education and in health and in policy and in economic empowerment. And so it seems as if many read the...
No, brother, you got that all wrong. It's economic empowerment, economic empowerment, economic empowerment. We can build our own schools. We can buy our own homes. We can do all this stuff. People always talking about, now, brother, look here, brother, brother. Let me talk to you, Brother Brown. Right? Let me talk to you. Man, you give black people that money, man, they going to go lose it. What? We going to boost up the economy? No matter where you go with this, it's a win-win for America. An infusion of money into the system. We some of the greatest buyers on the planet. We need to become some of the greatest investors in the planet, and a lot of us are, but we're some of the greatest consumers. What they gonna buy? They're gonna get gold front teeth. They're gonna get some, they're gonna get them some Yeezys and all that kind of stuff. So it's their money. I'm quite sure they know how to make their money, work for them. But we have people that'll teach them things like this, like your boys that earn your leisure and things like that. They'll teach brothers how to maximize their money, how to make their money work for them. Black people not dumb. You think we just gonna spend our money on Gucci and all that kind of stuff? Matter of fact, most of us realized who Gucci was and went buy Jack from Gucci. But brother, you got that backwards. Is money first, all this other stuff second?
The first section of economic empowerment and stopped. There are many. In terms of the $5 million, you cannot put a price on the cost of lives lost, properties lost, stress-induced health crises, the inability to create pathways to economic agency and self-achievement. You cannot put a price tag on that. And so, yes, therefore, my point of view is $5 million is an appropriate estimation. But again, the harm is actually priceless.
There are conceptual thoughts to this, right? What you're talking about is the far-reaching effects, generations past of what an entire community is dealing with. But there are the logistics.
I'm waiting for that, but here it comes.
Of this as well. When you talk about money, you talk about conditions on how you would qualify. You talk about the expectation of how this would actually be delivered. It's complicated. I mean, trying to...
It ain't that complicated. Stop, lady. Everybody want to make this a complicated thing. It's not that complicated. You just need to find out whether you qualify, and if you qualify, cut the doggone check. That's it. It ain't that complicated. Oh, we ain't got the money. You got the money. We always had the money. And you can do what they call quantitative easing. We always had the money. We just choose wisely. We just don't want to spend money with black people. We'll spend money with everybody else and get money on. Look at all that money we send in Ukraine. People who have no relationship with the United States. The United States ain't did nothing to them, and we sitting up there backing them with all this money. But people in this country that's been going through hell and high water, you don't wanna finance them? Are you freaking kidding me?
Imagine, one, how you afford it, how you do it, how you guarantee that this money...
Plus, there's so many programs that we're paying for that just a bunch of waste anyway. Obama was supposed to show transparency. Look here. I become president. We're going to have a lot of transparency, and we're going to open up we're going to peel the covers off, and we're going to see where all the money's being spent, and we're going to reallocate that money to pay for all these, programs. And that's my word. We're going to look at everything, all the pork barrel in these bills. We're going to look at it. We're going to take that money. We'll shut these programs down and put it in a program that's really, really going to help people. It's money out there. We just spend it on stupid stuff. It's like when I do a business meeting and I sell my products to people and I say, look, you'd rather have this and need not have it. You don't have to wait till you need it. I can give you 101 reasons why you can use it right now. The bottom line is this. You can't tell me you can't afford it because you're probably buying a honey bun, probably buying a soda. That's it. The stupid stuff you spending money on today can finance this. And the stupid stuff we spend money on today can fund this program. We're just talking about San Francisco. And the black people, the native black or FBA black people that come from that lineage, that's what, 6%? They say 3 to 6%? It's not a lot. $5 million? Nothing.
Money is given to the people it's supposed to go to. How far down into those weeds are you? Or at this point, are you still saying, let's consider which one of these or how many of these 100+ recommendations we can get behind, and then we'll figure out how to make it happen? Because in terms of a timeline of when this would actually come to some kind of reality, where are you in that space?
Sure, thank you. First of all, it's important to be clear on what the charge of the task force is and what we hold. Our task is and has been to chronicle the harm, research and assess what that harm is, and then assign value to said harm. That was it. It's as if our role was to be an appraisal of the harm. It was not our role, is not our role. It is the role of the board of supervisors in the city to determine the path toward the enablement. That is not the task of the committee.
So,
we expect...
To interrupt really quickly, you didn't go into this saying, is this possible? You went into it saying, what do we think should be?
This is the cost, right? So we said, here's the value of the house. Now, what the market will bear, whether the market will in fact overpay or underspend, that's part of what the market will have to figure itself out. And as I said to the board of supervisors just today in chambers, they own this house now with all of its good and its bad. And they have an opportunity, and I would add a responsibility, right, to, on behalf of the city, own the harm that this city has perpetrated on Black lives for its lifetime, and therefore what can the city and will the city do now to make good on that harm, starting with an apology, an acknowledgement of said harm, and then beginning to determine what it will commit itself to doing.
And Eric, before we let you go, what was the sense you got?
Honestly, I don't need your apology. What is this big thing of people like we should just Bill Clinton apologize? I don't need your apology, man. Look, you can apologize. I can say I accept your apology. I forgive you, but bruh, you owe recompense. A brother run over your mama in a semi-truck and she die. Apology is not enough. And black people, we got to stop being these type of people that's so mammy-pammy that this is why they see us as weak all the time, is because we're loving, caring, forgiving people. And people know how to play on that. Look, I love you. I can love you. I can care for you. I can forgive you. But if you do damage to me, I expect you to repair that damage. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, no, oh, shucks, forget about it. Oh, don't worry about that. Oh, it's water under the bridge. Nah, bruh, you better fix this or it's going to be water over your head. Get out of here with this, oh, I'm sorry. Hey, sorry. I mean, I accept your apology, but you better get this fixed. Because I'm not going to, my apology don't negate the fact that you caused this problem, y'all caused this problem, or your people caused this problem, and they need to fix it.
From the Board of Supervisors, how optimistic are you that they will be open to some, all of these recommendations that your committee has put forward?
Sure. Thank you for that. So hopeful, quite candidly. I was pleasantly surprised that to a person, so each member of the Board of Supervisors took their opportunity to openly, and yes, in kind of the public setting, declare their commitment to reparations. Now, they didn't declare a commitment to individual recommendations. That is the conversation to come. That's the conversation they will take up when we submit the final report, which will happen in June of this year.
All right. And obviously we know, yes, a long way to go in this process here. We appreciate the conversation tonight with you, Eric McDonald, chair of San Francisco's African American Reparations Advisory Committee. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
All right. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Trying to figure out my doggone. All right, there we go. All right, so look here. Two things has to happen on these task force. You can't have just anybody on these task force. You just can't. We can't have people who have no ties to our pain on these committees, on this task force. The task force need to be led by FBA and MBA people. Led. Or some of you people call ADOS. Freedmen. Whatever. The people who are tied to the soil need to be the driving people on that campaign. You don't need no immigrant being the head of this campaign. Do you hear me? No immigrant. Why? Because they're not tied into our pain. They're tied into their pain of their country. That's the reason why a lot of them came to this country. But they don't know our history. They don't know our pain. Heck, some of us don't know our history and don't know our pain. We have to be reminded. They're trying to erase it. That's why when you see it on the internet, you better download it and pocket that sucker, because you're going to need it, because they're going to try to get rid of this stuff, because they don't want to feel guilty for what they done to black people in history in this country. And it's not our fault you feel guilty that your forefathers, a lot of them was a bunch of evil son of a guns. It's not our fault. I'm going to go to the next video. Now that they're doing this proposal, and they have, I mean, we'll take a look at some of it. I have it already pulled up for you. Lefty media and right media, predominantly white, lose their mind. And then they're going to always have, you know what we always say, whenever they have a black person on the panel, they're usually there to dump on black people in front of all these white people to make them feel happy. It's something Roland Martin is good at. I got a video of him with the guy from the NAACP backtracking, saying we ain't say that we're against it. No, that somebody messed that up. They messed that up. Get out of here with that stuff. But we'll get to that video. Here's Laura Ingraham The ultimate Karen. If you look up Karen in a doggone encyclopedia or a dictionary, you'll see a big picture of Gene, whatever, what was that, Gene Panero, whatever, the judge on Fox, and Gene Shapiro, and you'll see also Laura Ingraham and what's the other girl name? Kelly. Megan Kelly, I think that's her name. Well, watch this.
Put up or shut up. That's the focus of tonight's angle. It's clickbait, and it's the left's go-to shiny object for keeping African Americans on the line. Well, of course, I'm talking about reparations. And San Francisco's latest...
She's saying reparations is to keep African Americans in the line. No, it's keeping you frightened. That's what it's doing, girl. Ain't nobody in no line. We know this is our inheritance. This is our inheritance in this country. You guys been eating off and feeding off this stuff for a long time, especially your ancestors. Oh, let me shut up. Karen.
Over-the-top proposals, most of which will never see the light of day. Now, in what's a...
How do you know they won't see the light of day? And if they're not going to see the light of day, why are you so worried? Look at her. Look at your face. Look at you. Oh, it look like you're going to cry. Don't cry. You're trying to be in denial. Oh, it's never going to happen. Oh, it's never going to happen.
Reported effort to level the playing field after slavery and discrimination, 111 recommendations were proposed to advance the reparations agenda. And on the list, check this out, a $5 million payment to every eligible African-American adult.
Oh, that burns you, don't it? To every African-American adult. And it's not African-American adult. The whole California Task Force already eliminated who the money goes to. It goes to foundational Black Americans, American descendants of slavery, freedmen, not just every Black American. See, they'll use that as a trope to say, oh, these Black people going to get money. No. You ain't going to come from Africa and come to America and think that you're entitled to this. No. It doesn't work like that. No. You're not. And you got to have at least one father that's linked down to slavery. One lineage, one line in your family line that links to slavery. If you don't qualify. So don't go to every Black person. But you sure don't like that $5 million payout, because now we jumping into your territory of money, girl.
Debt forgiveness, Lord knows how much that's going to be, guaranteed.
The Lord knows that. This flaming racist woman right here, Lord knows what that's going to be. Like, oh, black people. I'm trying to bite my tongue. Well, Lord knows what that's going to be. You know how them Negroes are. You know how them Negroes are. You know how they are. They love to get in debt like y'all don't.
Income of $97,000 a year for 250 years. And homes in San Francisco for just $1 per family. But don't.
Now look, it's not necessarily homes for $1. They will pay for the home, but they can't pay for it outright. You have to pay something on it, so they choose $1 per family. Honestly speaking, don't need that. Because if you got your $5 million payment, if you got your $97K a year, you can buy a home. Might not be the best home in California with y'all high price tell, no worse than New York City. But we good. Now she's upset, and a lot of people are going to be upset. They don't like this. Now this is just a proposal. $5 million payment to those who are eligible. One time cut the check, $5 million. Debt forgiveness. See, this right here will put us on an even playing field starting off. Still need some things to do. $5 million in the bank account. You got your home for $1. You got, and you can't tell us what kind of home we get. You can give us a value to spend on the home and say, hey, you can get a house for up to $250,000, and all you have to do is value that $250,000. You just pay $1 toward it. They don't want this because this is setting equality in motion, and they don't want that. Let me let her keep talking. I'm gonna let her finish. I ain't gonna say nothing else.
Don't worry. If there are HOA or parking fees that come with the housing, those would be covered as well. Now, the Hoover Institution is putting the price tag on just the $5 million per person part of the plan at $600,000 per household.
So the Hoover Institute is a conservative think tank organization that a lot of these news pundits like to go to debunk or to cause a wedge in between a value system that don't agree with theirs. Healthcare, the Hoover Institute said, single payer or, Medicare for all is going to cost this amount of money. No. It costs you more money if you don't have it. Matter of fact, with these proposals, this will boost up the economy like never before. And they don't want to talk about that because you got an infusion of money going back into the economy. But she'll never admit that.
Now, imagine adding that massive burden onto families already dealing with the crushing weight of Biden inflation. That's hard to fathom.
Nobody said it's going to come off the taxpayers. And if it did come off the taxpayers, there's ways to get it without hurting the taxpayers. You understand me? And there's ways of paying for it outside of the taxpayers. But if we must get it off the taxpayers, it's okay because we built this country for most people to prosper from, and we made this place the place to come to. This was the hip place to come to because of us. We even fought for immigrants to come to this country. And like I said, this country owe a debt. And as long as they owe that debt, as long as you keep delaying it, you putting the burden on them, not us. We have a right to demand what's rightfully ours. What was promised to us, we have a right to demand it. Because of your lack of not paying it, got you in default. It got you in interest. And the longer you don't pay it, the longer you're going to put the burden on these people. Now, like I said, there's many ways to pay for this outside of the pocket of the people. But you don't want to talk about it. All you want to do is strike the fear in the hearts and mind of American people that this reparation is the boogeyman and he's coming to take from y'all, so y'all got to fight back. Out of here with that mess.
But fans of reparations want to suck you into the debate in order to stereotype all of you as unfeeling, uncaring jerks.
Have been struck by the overheated and irrational.
Uncaring. Nobody care about your feelings. Nobody care about whether you agree with this or not. This doesn't faze us. You could disagree all you want. That's great. We can agree to disagree. At the end of the day, you still owe and you still gonna pay. So how you like me now?
Response to this draft report. Those of my constituents who lost their minds about this proposal, it's not something we're doing or we would do for other people. It's something we would do for our future, for our everybody's collective future and the generations to come.
Wow. It would benefit our collective futures? How could anyone be against that? Now,
this bigot, boo, it will benefit. It will benefit the overall future because the money goes into stimulating this economy. It has the ability to bring jobs because now you got black business owners or you got black ingenuity having financial power behind it. We got a lot of black ingenuity going on around here, but we got too many racist and bigot peoples out here that don't want to finance that. So our people have to go to the community to try to get the finances, but the community is lacking finances. So yeah, it will help you too, Laura Ingram. It will help you too. Somebody might buy you a brain to put in your freaking head and a heart because it seems like you need one.
Reaching into your wallet to apologize for slavery is the least you people could do. Well, and of course, money talks. Justin Hansford, a law professor at Howard University, put it this.
She don't like she think it's condescending. The nerves of you to force us. This ain't got nothing to do with you, chicks. Sit your butt down. This the government did this to us. We know you're a bigot and a racist, and we know you probably come from a long line of them, but we ain't thinking about you. You the one putting your face on the screen crying about this. You the one showing how butthurt you are about this. We ain't thinking about you.
This way. If you're going to try to say you're sorry, well, you have to speak in the language that people understand. And money is that language.
Right. When you punch somebody in the face and you say, I'm sorry, they might say, thank you very much, but you're going to court. Or I'm going to call the police. You're going to pay for what you just did. I didn't do nothing to you. You did it to me. And you're going to have to pay. Or your mother did it to me. Or your grandmother did it to me. And I'm getting the money out of your grandmother before she leaves this earth. Bottom line, your estate is going to pay for what they did to us, Laura. It's not our fault. We didn't do it. You and your people are at fault. Now, to my white brothers and sisters, most of you know, like my man Luca, most of you, you're not antagonists like this lady. And you know the deal. We ain't trying to make you feel guilty over this stuff. The only people that feel guilty is the people that's so entrenched in white supremacy is ridiculous. And they try their best to cover up, like Bill Maher. They try to cover this thing up, but they can't. You can tell the moment you mention money toward black people that you owe for slavery, and you see people come out with outrage, that's them showing their white supremacy. That's them showing their bigotry and racism. The nerves of you to demand. This was 400 years ago. Yeah. That means you got a debt with interest. Should have paid it a long time ago.
Recall that this debate began on college campuses decades ago. And then the idea really gained traction in recent years, especially after the death of George Floyd. And now, even African Americans who've
It's been talked about. You just was drowning us out.
enjoyed huge success in America, they think they deserve cash.
Individual white people are saying, I didn't do it, and my ancestors didn't even do it, and you are not.
Old, period.
But you got a lot of money, so you think you should get more.
Yes, I'm 97% West African, born in Charleston, South Carolina, so I should definitely get a check.
And it's about much more, though, than assigning collective guilt and assigning penalties on people who never enslaved anyone. Reparations are also needed, we're told, to stop the crime wave.
There's only one thing that would stop our children from.
Now, clearly she feel guilty. Like I said, when a white person feeling guilty because we're making a demand on reparation, because you had a lot of black people saying, oh, it's divisive, it's going to cause issue. That ain't our problem. So we should shut up about it and not say anything about it, not demand it, because you feel it's going to be divisive. I've seen black bootlegs say that. I see white people say that. I see people that's not white saying, oh, it's a divisive issue. How is it divisive? Oh, you're making us feel guilty. Oh, I'm squirming. Oh, why is that? Why are you taking it personal? Oh, it's because it's going to come out of our personal pocket. Are you in America? Then why you complain about it coming out of your pocket? This the least thing you need to complain about coming out of your pocket, girl. The least. Can't help the government you came to be a part of owe those people. Black people been paying money, reparations to Germans, even Nazi Germans who had nothing to do with this country, don't even live in this country. We've been paying for reparation. We've been paying tax dollars to Israel every freaking month, billions. And they got health care, they got education, they got all that. We've been putting our money and we haven't complained about it a lick. But as soon as we ask y'all to do y'all part, oh God, oh Jesus, oh Lord Jesus, oh God. Man, would y'all stop? I don't know, bro. I don't know. Man, stop with that mess. And then we got to watch these people who come to these meetings and talk, man. You need to sit down and ask them, what are you going to talk about? Because when you start talking that foolishness, we need to bring Sandman, resurrect Sandman with the hook and all, and hook your behind and pull you away from that microphone.
Busting into these liquor stores and grocery stores, stealing junk food and stealing different things. And that's reparations.
Bro, you can't use that. You can't say reparations going to stop a lot of this crime. You got people that's wealthy, freaking wealthy, killing their family members. Killing their daddy, mama, and everything. Stop. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Having money answers all things, says the Bible. And having money means you don't have to go out there and steal. If you do it, you're just stealing for the rush, which is dumb. You don't have to steal. You're right. But you got some people just sick in their head and just do stuff just for spite. Mendes brother had all that money, they killed their parents. Stop.
There's only one thing that would stop our kids from busting into these jewelry stores, stealing watches and jewelry, and that's reparations.
Now, at this point, California Democrats,
and this ain't got nothing to do with Democrats. Most of the people pushing reparation ain't got nothing, don't even like the Democrats either. Stop. And she got up here, forget parenting, reparation will stop crime. Nobody said, where do you guys come up with these titles? This is so condescending and arrogant and a slap in the face to black people, and you know it. You know it. We think, to most black people in America, parenting is number one, lady. Half of y'all don't even take care of your kids and they out here doing stupid stuff. So the nerve of you to smile down on us. She take this for a joke. But look, joke gonna be on you, girl.
let's face it, they're desperate. The state is collapsing in crime. There's a huge exodus out of the state. Of course, we've all seen the homelessness, the drug abuse, and the despair. If you're a minority with a chance of opening, let's say, a small business in Dallas or in San Francisco, why on earth would you choose San Francisco? Now, the Lunatrons on the Board of Supervisors may not be able to revitalize the economy there, but they will try to...
Why on earth will you not? San Francisco has some of the highest, best property in the country. And yeah, homelessness is off the chart. That's everywhere because we don't have a system of government that house the homeless, that take care of the homeless. It's a lot of countries that's doing better with dealing with the homeless, that's not greedy vultures like we are. They take social programs serious and fund it to get these people off the streets. You the type of person that'll say, hey, get these bums off the street. Let's just throw them in prison or something like that. Or, you know, that has nothing to do with me. That's you. What is your solution? You smug, arrogant.
entice you with a grab bag of goodies.
And
whatever you do not get bogged down on the cost of reparations.
So a lot of people are stuck on numbers. If you want to look at numbers, look at the birth rate of African Americans. Look at the incarceration rate of African Americans. Look at the dropout rate of African Americans. Look at the graduation rate of African Americans.
But even renowned
I don't know how to take that statement, because a lot of times people look at ours and don't even look at theirs and realize theirs just as bad. It's not always, it's the system. The system got us looking bad and it got you bad. We're looking bad and you're looking bad. I hate when they parade the negative parts of us and never talk about their own negative parts.
supporters of reparations are scratching their heads with how the San Francisco fruitcakes arrived at that $5 million.
San Francisco fruitcakes. You're the fruitcake. She is so, look at her. The pain and the fear of this happening. The nerves of these Negroes having more money than my family members, than me.
$1 per person number.
I don't believe that there's been any serious explanation as to how the San Francisco task force came up with that number. When people hear that figure, it sounds extraordinarily large. It's not consistent with the ways in which Kirsten Mullen and I have attempted to calculate it.
And this is where, and some of you people from ADOS are going to get mad at me. This is why I listen to Claude Anderson. Sandy Darity, don't get me wrong, and my boy Tim Black had Sandy Darity on his show. Sandy Darity is an expert on economics for black people. So is Kamala Harris' daddy, Donald Harris. I prefer Claude Anderson because he's the formal expert on this, and he knows more than anybody. There's a state platform, and there's the national platform. Sandy Darity mostly work on the national platform. Therefore, he's not going to focus on separate states, so he's not going to understand. So when it comes to this, I'm not listening to Sandy Darity. If the state got together a group and they're willing to pay it, you have nothing else to say, man. Be quiet. He's thinking it's going to affect the overall national stance on reparation. Well, those people in California, look, let me tell you something. If the United States don't want to do it and the states want to do it, however, it don't matter as long as it get done. If the United States want to drag their feet and the states decide to get in and get this thing done, move out the way, United States, let the states get it done. But we still expect the United States, because each one of them have their fair share in what they did to black people in this country. The city has their part, the region have their part, the state have their part, the international community have their part too. And the world has a part in it too. Now, I was going to show you that video with Sandy Darity on Jonathan Capehart's show, but I'm not going to show that for the sake of time. You can go look that up on YouTube. Look at her.
He's right. And by the way, Gavin Newsom, he might be wrong on most issues, but he's not a complete moron. He knows this issue would be a political nightmare.
He's not a complete moron as long as he's saying things that you agree with. But if he's not in agreement with you, he's a moron, right? And he is allowing this stuff to happen, lady.
And it could be the straw that breaks the donkey's back in California.
What donkey?
And by the way, plenty of rich suburban white liberals, they have no interest.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox.
You mean people like you, lady? Laura Ingraham, a trip, man. A horrible, horrible lady. All right, let's go to this next video.
San Francisco facing sharp criticism for a sweeping reparations plan, including from...
All right, to set this up, this is The Five, another Fox show that's going bonkers over reparation. And of course, they're going to have their black bootlick up there. This time it's Harold Ford, former disgraced politician, former Democrat, now paid panelist on Fox News. Pretty Ricky, what they call him.
A former BLM activist. The proposal would give every eligible black resident $5 million, wipe out all personal debt, guarantee a nearly six-figure income for the next 250 years, and offer homes
I like
for
that.
just $1.
I
What's
want
not
that
in the plan is a way to pay for it. And San Fran officials say
I want that to stick in their face. I want that to irritate them. I want it where they can't go to sleep. The nerves of these Negroes. They talking about giving these Negroes $5 million and $97,000 a year. How they going to pay for it? How they going to pay for it? They don't talk about how they pay for it. Most of the things you talk about, they don't talk about how they pay for it. They didn't talk about how to pay for the COVID vaccine. They didn't talk about how to pay for this Ukraine war. They don't. Just because they don't talk about it don't mean they're not paying for it, lady.
it is not their job to figure that out, but they seem to be on board with this whole plan anyway.
And they should.
Have my 100% support and commitment to implementing, quite frankly, all 111 of these recommendations. They are all warranted.
Now, I don't know if she's running for office, she's trying to keep her seat, or I don't know if she got a black boyfriend. I don't know what's going on, but she might have giddy for this. I want you to, oh yes, I want you to have all of it, have it all. I had a bottle of gin in the back, but I'll have it all. Look a little ditzy, man, but it don't matter. If you agree with it, hey, sis, hey, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
But the plan is running into some opposition. A former Black Lives Matter activist is calling it out.
A former Black Lives Matter activist, this brother right here, who's not even a native black American, he's not even a foundational black American, he has nothing to do with American slavery, but he has something to say about this. I think this brother's from Haiti.
And it is so unrealistic to think that the average family in San Francisco.
He's a former Democrat. He's one of those former Democrats on the plantation of the Democratic Party, and I escaped the plantation, and now I'm part of Brexit, and Candace Owens saved my life and changed my point of view, and now I'm a member of Prager University, and and it's my job to be educated by the man and used by the man to help other black people become bootlegs, but instead of bootlegs for the Democratic Party, bootleg for the Republican Party. And that's what this guy is, former Black Lives Matter, my behind. Get out of here. He probably marched. He probably one of the ones putting bricks everywhere.
Is going to be able to pay $600,000 extra a piece. It's disgusting to me.
It's these people who come from the school of Candace Owens. They think this is a cookie cutter thing that, okay, I'm going to do what Candace Owens did, and I'm going to break. And as long as I look intellectual and package myself, I can be part of the media. I can be on Fox News. I can be considered a serious commentator. They may give me a job there. They may, I don't know. But this guy already said Candace Owens saved his life. I'm trying to find out where his heritage is. I think he's from Haiti. So if he don't have a black person in his family that's tied to slavery, he don't qualify anyway. And he wish he can qualify, because running your mouth up here on Fox News ain't nothing compared to $5 million in your pocket and $97,000 a year, man. So go ahead with this bull crap.
That we are more focused on slavery, which ended in.
They're going to find somebody black and try to tout them as a representative of black people to try to push back. Why you can't push back on your own? You got to send a token Negro out here to do all the pushback? This butter biscuits sold out. Look at it. Look at them. This bootlick. Oh, the moment I started talking conservative, bro, how many times I told y'all I got conservative views? I don't take it personal whether you like it or not. It's a lot of things. I'm not a fan of abortion. You can hate me and hang up. I'm not a fan. I think if you sit there and lay down with Chuck, and because Chuck broke your heart, you decide you don't want to have a baby because you want to go to school too much. I don't think it. I'm not a fan all willy-nilly abortions. I do believe that there's, if it's a life and death situation, that's your choice. But because you woke up drunk next to my you woke up to a little person and you're like, oh, I can't have little Pee Wee's baby. Why not? Oh, he's a little person. So, how did I get on that?
In 1865, then we're focused on the veterans who are on the streets of San Francisco, homeless and begging for spare change in 2023. That's where they need to start sending their money.
If they're saying 60-something% of black people, or 60-something% of the homeless people are black, brother, that's going to solve that situation very well. A lot of them are on the streets because they priced out. They're not on drugs. They're not, nutsos crazy. A lot of them just been priced out and can't afford to live in that area, and they don't have the money to move to another area that's probably going to get priced out in the next 5 years too. So they've been chuckling along on the streets of San Francisco. But you give them that proposal, that'll answer that problem. Remember what I said? Money answers all things. So whatever, brother, I think we need to invest in land and build casinos like the Native American. Get your check and buy your own land and build your own casino. Well, brother, we need free education. You don't need free education. Get some money, whether it's free or not. You can pay to go to college now. Now, I'm for free education, especially public education. No public college should be charging anybody to go to school because you already pay for it with your taxes. But nevertheless, you got $5 million and $97,000 a year. You can go back to school and not miss a beat. You'll be able to pay for it out of your pocket and not miss a beat. So either way, whatever problem you got on the streets, off the streets, in your house, in the way, wherever, whatever problem we got, money can take care of all those problems because money answers just about all things.
Harold,
all things.
Moving right along in San Francisco with this plan.
Well, when I got this email from...
Again, once they talk about something black people pushing, they don't ask the white person first. They always ask the black person first. It never fails. And it's usually one black person on the panel.
From us, I must say my wife and I immediately changed our residency from New York to San Francisco, just for the record. To the, this is, I think the young man, the first part of what he said I agree with. This is unreal.
Now, understand Harold. Harold come from a legacy. A long line of politicians, crooked and straight. A wealthy family. So there is no sense of urgency with him. So they're going to ask him the question and he's going to placate to them. He's not going to say like Charlemagne the God, oh, okay, yeah, no, you pay it. You need to pay it.
Realistic, and I'm not sure this is the way you bring the country together. I think that there was intentionality around this.
Who's talking about bringing the country together? This ain't got nothing to do with bringing the country together. It ain't got nothing to do with dividing the country. And if the country is going to be divided over this situation, then we got a problem with the country. It ain't a problem with black people. Oh, this is going to divide. It's not going to bring the country together. It's a lot of things that don't bring the country together. The election, not Joe Biden being president don't bring the country together. Donald Trump being the president don't bring the country together. Nobody's coming together. Heck, a Beatles song come together couldn't even bring people together. Lame excuses.
Discrimination and a subordination and subjugation of African Americans from the birth of the country. But the country has progressed and we've moved on, and as we move on, we have to continue to find ways to lower the gaps in education.
No, we didn't move on, bruh. We moved forward, but that don't mean you don't owe a debt, Doc. Stop with this mess. All you politicians, Black politicians, stop letting this stuff come out your freaking mouth. And anybody hear a politician like this letting stuff come out their mouth, it's your responsibility to get them out of office because they're there to undermine you. Now, he's not in office no more for various reasons. But you don't let no politician undermine you, your agenda, and your mission. So I got a problem with Jamal Bowman. I got a problem with AOC and all these people who don't take this serious, who don't want to listen to us when it comes to this issue. They want us to listen to them. The hell we are. We sent you there to do the bidding for us.
An economic opportunity, another opportunity. This is the kind of thing when you talk about an answer like this, it just antagonizes people. And I think you divide us even more. I think there are real people who may feel that this is a serious issue. Serious people believe this is a serious issue who may not share my political views, but might be willing to have a serious conversation about how we...
This is a serious conversation. You want to say the way this is not a serious conversation. No, it is very serious. You just don't like the fact it's not the conversation that you want to have concerning it because you want to try to talk us out. Let's have a meeting. For what? So you could talk me out of doing this? No, bro, I ain't mean with you, man. Go ahead. I think we should meet on this. I think not. I'm set in stone, bro. I'm not going to let you try to convince me not to do this. To convince a person above their will is of the same opinion still. You're trying to say as a black man, and that's what they like to do, get a black man to stand there and say this is divisive. And we need to stop being silly. And we as black people need to be serious. Get serious. Stop being silly. This is dividing us. Bro, we've been divided. We never came together on nothing in a long time. Thank God we had some people out there for the George Floyd protests. But some of them was undermining the George protest. Some of them undermined the true Black Lives Matter, not one this fool was part of. Co-opting. Not falling for your crap. You want a serious talk, you come talk to us, and you're going to hear our lead. If you're not going to follow our black agenda, then just move out the way. There's some things non-negotiable and non-talk, and that is not negotiable, and there is not going to be no discussion. We don't want no more study. We already had the study. It's time for implementation.
Address some of the inequalities and inequities, but this is not the way to do it. But in case it is, I did change my residence.
Okay. This is near to your home city where you grew up, and it's a place that you used to love.
Yeah, this is
King Bigot about to come out.
Is right. No one should be taking this seriously at all. This is hilarious. It's probably one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
You hear this flaming bigot racist. How you call them that? Simple. When it comes to black people making a demand, and believe me, $5 million is the least of this word. And they're just talking about California. You act like they're talking about everybody in the world, bruh. They're just talking about San Francisco people. $5 million. You're afraid it's going to get catched on. You're afraid this is going to light a fire. You're afraid this is going to catch on all across the nation. That finally black people are going to step up to equality in finances as white people. They're going to have just as much as financial power as white people, which means they'll be able to buy power. Now those black people might get together and help fund military in Africa and communism and blah. Y'all going to come up with all kind of crap. Now, look, let me tell you something. Guthrie, he know this ain't no joke. This is fear coming out of him. He's scared, like Laura Ingraham, terrified. Anytime somebody laughing stuff off, they don't take this for a joke. They only trying to appear that it's funny. But look at him right now. Look how he's looking. Oh, my God. These people are serious. On the inside, he's saying this. Outside, he's saying they can't be serious. On the inside, these niggas serious.
So why is it so ludicrous? Why did they do? They did that on purpose.
Look, they did that on purpose.
They don't want this. What they want is to divide people, to create another commotion over race. If you had an actual practical...
Who will be upset and divided over people who getting the money that's due them. Who? I'll tell you who. Bootlicks and white supremacists. Bootlicks and bigots. If you're all uncomfortable, if you're all unshaky, I don't care what country you come from, I don't care what position you stand. If a black man getting equal quality and pay as white men, and you get nervous, you're just showing yourself to be anti-black, a bigot, and probably racist. Pretty much are racist, because you don't want nobody to be on the same level as you are. Why did they did that? They did that on purpose. They did that on purpose. Oh, why did they do that? They did that. Of course we did that on purpose. And we mean every bit of it.
Plan over this, it would be modest. It would probably wouldn't even include payouts at all. It would be about education.
Here they go. It probably won't be about payout at all. Bro, you can't do that. You didn't say that about your people, Mr. Jewish. You took your money and you built your own educational system in the Jewish areas of Brooklyn and stuff like that. We can't do that. Y'all got cash money, and y'all took that money and invested. You don't want us having no money because you're afraid that if we invest it, we might do just as good as you, maybe even better. And that's what you fear. Boy, they hot. Look at them.
That's what it would be. It'd be about, okay, part of this reparations, and we got to trace it back to who had slaves, who didn't have slaves, blah, blah, blah. This is going to take forever. But if we can figure this out, you don't pay for education.
It don't take that long to find out whether your family is linked to the slave trade, whether they have slave papers on them or not. It don't take that long to go through your heritage. It don't. They want to make you think that this is a difficult process, and it ain't. It ain't. Once you find out that you are linked to slavery, then all you have to do is sit back and wait for them to finish their part in implementation. They got the money. Money is being spent on some of the dumbest things in the world. And all they have to do is cut that back, and they'll have the money. But if need be, because you are benefiting from this great country that was built on the back of slaves, and you decide to buy into the American dream, Guthrie and his parents, there's a debt owed on that dream. That thing that you bought into, there's a debt on it. So don't be offended and try to say it's divisive and it's going to cause issues because we're asking you to pay the debt on that product that you just bought.
You get the best education there is. That's a reparation. This is designed.
That is not a reparation. That is a social program. Any of my white brothers and sisters, if you listen to foolish talk like that, then I got a problem with you. Education is not reparation. Education belongs to every man in the United States, but reparation is not. We already get education. What are you talking about? Well, I think you should get free education. Everybody should get free education. What are you talking about? They put down here liberal city, trying to make it a liberal thing. Mo's $5 million per black resident. It's not per black resident. It's not per black residents. It's for FBA and MBA.
By people who are hiding their classism behind their racism. I mean, they're hiding their classism by a race war. So if we weren't sitting here talking about this, we'd be looking at Pelosi, we'd be looking at Newsom, we'd be looking at the crazy lady on the board. These are all, it's amazing. White leftists do worse things to blacks in the area.
How do you know that these people are leftists? And why are you trying to... Black people, you got to start standing up to these people who talk this talk. White leftists treat black people bad. Like right conservatives don't treat black people bad. Right now, you laughing at our pain. You're treating us bad. You think this is a joke, this is a game, and it's not a joke. It's not a game. You're upset because the country did not pay its debt in the past, and now comes the time for pay up. And you're upset. You're upset, number one, because it's the money that you fear that if every black man have $5 million, I don't know what to think. If Jimmy John over there got if Shaniqua got $5 million, I don't have $5.
Nations ever could. I mean, it is absolutely incredible how horrible these people, the big losers in this, just by bringing this up, are real estate agents. How do you make money selling homes for $1? And the big winner is U-Haul.
The government's going to pay it. The government's going to pay it. All you pay out of your pocket is $1. Dummy.
Because even if this doesn't happen, it plants a seed in everybody's head that Frisco is a demented city.
No,
that's
it's
getting
not.
More and more
Everybody,
demented. Get the hell out of there. Even though this is never.
No, it's only going to paint that in the mind of somebody that's anti-black, including black people that's anti-black, like Harold Ford. How can you be black and anti-black? If you are trying to make excuses for white people and you're on the page and the side of white people for black economic advancement and you're trying to tell black people how to get it, then you're anti-black. You're trying to stop them and tell them this is not how you do it. You need to do it this way. You're anti-black. We know how to figure out our way. And either you're going to join us in our way or you're blocking us in our way and we're going to move you out the way.
Never going to happen.
Right. And
Never
I
going to
guess,
happen.
Judge, please feel free to comment on anything you want, but if you could say, if this was challenged legally, would it be?
They say slavery would never end. They say the civil rights movement, you'll never get civil rights. You will never get integration. It'll never happen.
Be a successful challenge?
Well, I don't know if there would be a successful challenge.
I don't know.
But, you know, I might imagine they would say maybe it's a denial of equal protection.
She looked like. She remind me of Kardashian. She knows that this could be a problem. She knows that it's going to be hard to challenge this because the country do owe. And the country have documented that they owe. And the country promised. And they failed to pay that promise. She knows. And look at her. She looked like one of them old, hot, you know, what they call it, mothers I like to get with. I ain't going to say it. She looked like one of the ones that be like she looked like a cougar. She probably looked like she be looking for them, you know, look like she'll get with a Waka Flocka if she could. Trying to act like she all that. She looked like she like black dudes. She probably go look for a black dude in San Francisco in a minute.
That there were whites, you know, who maybe the Irish when they came over didn't have it so great, or maybe the Italians were prosecuted, you know,
Yeah, but they didn't build a country for free, lady. Stop bringing everybody else's into this picture because they didn't build a country for free. They got paid for the work. Whatever work they did, I'm not going to call it little, whatever work they did, they got compensated for it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some things that happened to the Irish people that was horrible, but they eventually got inducted into white society. And this government needed them to help them become the majority because they're strength in numbers. Look at her.
and Vanzetti, you want to go back. But here's the thing that's crazy about it. What they say is we're going to give you $97,000 a year for 250 years. So if I'm in San Francisco, I'm going to find a black guy and I'm going to marry him because for sure I get $100,000.
You probably done had plenty of black guys in your heyday. And you probably wanted to marry them and they did not want to marry you. You look like the type that looked for you're from New York anyway. You're probably that type that say, I'm going to find me a New York ball player from the Jets or Yankees or somewhere, and that's how I'm going to snatch him up. Let me see if I can find some information on her. Oh, God. What's that name? Jean Shapiro or something? Janine Shapiro? Janine Shapiro? Come on, man. Bear with me. Trying to look at Janine. Is that her name? Janine Shapiro. All right. All right. So let me see how many times she's been married. She had one spouse. Okay, Albert Pirro. From 75 to 2013. She haven't had a husband since then. So, all right. So we know she probably be getting with some black guys. She look like she do. She probably look like she be going to Jamaica Queens often.
You're lucky
you're gonna be very close to you.
I get $100,000 a year, and my kids do too. But you see, I'm Lebanese Christian. We weren't even over here. Why should I, if I lived in San Francisco, have to pay $600,000?
Here goes this thing, and nobody's saying you're paying $600,000. That's a bald-faced lie to try to stir up division. If anybody dividing the country, it's propaganda. You and your family came here for the American dream. That dream had a debt on it. But you decided to come in anyway. So by you participating in the American dream, by you grabbing hold of that dream, you grab a hold of that debt. And yeah, you got to pay. You're a lawyer. You should know that, especially if you deal with real estate or you deal with liquidation. If there's a debt on it and you buy that debt, come on now, Janine, stop with the mess. And again, you probably had a bunch of brothers. You probably still have some bunch of brothers. You look like the type to get with some brothers. So you'll probably be down there trying to marry a black man in a minute. Her saying that she ain't just saying that. That's what's in her heart. Shoot, I'm going down there and get me one of them Negroes so I can get that kind of money.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the whole thing is bizarre. And then these people are even more nuts. There's one of the millionaires who wants this $5 million in reparations. He's proposing a red light district to make sure that those who came in are involved in human trafficking, that they have their own red light district. I mean, these people are from another planet.
Who said that? Who said that? And that's not the overall people who are making the demands. Of course, you're going to have some demands from some thugs. You had thugs in the Jewish community. You got thugs in the Asian community. You got thugs in every community. And when it comes to them getting something from the government, they're going to do something extreme with it. That's not the overall person. So stop trying to paint all black people as people who lost their head, and all the people who are supporting black people in this are people who lost their head. That's one person. Get out of here.
Can't even deal with them.
Jesse, what about
I can't even deal with them.
We
She
can
mad.
look at this and
I
say,
can't-
obviously,
I
this is
can't
never
even-
going to happen, et cetera.
I can't
But
even deal
there
with them.
probably are a lot of people there who are living with some false hope that they're about to get $5 million.
False hope.
They gave them false hope. The stupid white liberal with the polka dot dress is responsible, as Greg said, for.
They give them false hope. What are you giving them? Nothing. If you had your way, you don't want this subject to be even talked about. You don't want no movement building on this. You'll do whatever you can to stop it. You'll try to call us idiots, communists, socialists, whatever, and it ain't got nothing to do with that. You know we built this country. We know, you know we were not compensated for it, but you just want us to forgive and let go. And that's the problem. And the moment somebody say, no, I'm not forgiving, I'm not letting go, I'll let go when I get my just due pay, you got a problem with that person. Price tag isn't the issue. If they ask for $100,000, you're going to be going nuts. $5 million, you're going super nuts. And don't you dare say that this is impossible. Because once we get to a point where we're making it impossible, they're worried about just one city. One city.
For this catastrophe. You're raising their expectations, and then they're humiliating themselves. If you've seen the actual footage of these hearings, they're singing, they're throwing their arms up in the air, they're doing weird things with weird clothing, and they're making absolutely no sense. It's almost like they took the most uneducated black people and brought them in front of the commission and had them just riff that they want to get paid. They're not, these aren't well thought out arguments. You can make a well thought out argument for a reparation package.
No, those are the ones that you decide to show on TV. It was a lot of intelligent people in that line making a claim for reparations. And who cares whether it's intelligent or not intelligent? They still have a right to make a demand and tell the reason why. This is not a Broadway stage play. These are regular people who come from descendants of slaves, whose families should have been wealthy if they got their just play, but they were robbed of it. And this government is still intact. This debt is still on the government, but black people have not released them and not going to release them. And shut up talking about releasing them. And you're mad.
Package. You've done it with the Japanese after World War II
Yeah,
internments.
you did.
It's been done with the Jewish people after the Holocaust.
And why was it done? Did they bring out all their best and brightest? So he's making the claim. Yeah, you pay reparation to all these people. So what's the problem?
Now I think it's a little too late. But
it's not a little too late.
I'm open to listening to an intelligent argument. And the polka dot lady is destroying any hope these people ever.
We're not asking you to listen. We don't care about your opinion, dude. And it's not too late. It's never too late. As long as this country exists, this country still owes. And what you going to do? Get rid of all of us? You're going to commit genocide and get rid of all black people? Because that's the only way you're going to get out of this. And even then, you're not going to get out of this because you can't get rid of us. We're all over the world. And a lot of us will come back just to fight you. Pay up or shut up, as Laura Ingraham said.
Have of getting paid. It's based on emotional trauma, which is this new thing. And they say it's generational. So if my great-great-grandfather was a slave, then...
I don't understand how Harold Ford, a half black man, I guess, full black man, or whatever, can sit there and let these people do that. How could he do that? Because he's a bootleg. They're giving him a good check to just shut up and sit there.
They pass the emotional trauma down generation after generation after generation, and then they're owed something. But you can take that anywhere. I mean, let's say her Lebanese great-grandfather subjugated my great-great-great-granddaughter on one of her little ships in the Mediterranean. I can keep my hand out, Janine, and I'm looking at you, Janine.
Yeah, and
I know what you did to my great-great-granddaughter. And see, there's trauma.
Does the size of the dot on the polka dot dress matter?
The bigger the dot, the dumber the girl.
Great. No, it's definitely a measure. What do you think the SF board did by creating this proposal, Jesse? What would you describe that as?
It's like shooting a zebra.
Yes. Yes.
And you can never go back.
Yeah, zebra can't change its stripes. I mean,
That's true. Or its spots.
You know, it ought to wear polka dots.
I went on Brian Kill.
See, they think this is a joke. They think this is a game. They're so afraid and they're so much in pain over a little proposal in San Francisco. Imagine if it becomes the law in San Francisco, how they're going to act. These people don't even live in San Francisco. They live in New York. They take this to a joke. But that's what happens. I think I got one more on my show, and then we're done. We'll go into the proposal in detail. Matter of fact, you go to Information Man's show, and he'll go into the proposal in detail. Let's see.
The proposal in San Francisco has reignited the debate over reparations for Black Americans. The city's Reparations Advisory Committee has recommended that qualifying Black residents should receive $5 million each. According to the committee, the suggested amount is not a direct recompense for slavery, but rather serves as an investment in a community harmed by centuries of discriminatory practices. The proposal comes as cities and states across the country grapple with the question of reparations. But some advocates and experts are wary of the San Francisco proposal, including my next guest, who told the Washington Post, quote, "It's excessive."
So he gets Senator Darity to try to make sense of something they believe don't make sense. And hoping that he can ease them on something that don't make sense to them.
Which Kirsten Mullen and I have attempted to calculate it in the work that we've done in our book, From Here to Equality.
And I want to talk about that in a minute. Just $1 trillion, at $350,000 roughly per.
Now I'm going to do a separate video on this one. Let me go to what Bill Maher had to say.
Last month, the Biden
about this situation recently. Let me see if I can find it.
Kidding. That's what they're saying. Now, look, I'm no fan of woke, but come on, the Republicans have figured out. Come on, even my dog has more than one bark. Like they were a 5,000-mile-long blob of seaweed. It's going to hit the beaches and it's shocking what fish are learning. No, I don't know how this. I don't know how this country keeps going with so much nuttiness. Here's something that I found very interesting.
All right, so let me unpack this. Recently, Bill Maher did a monologue, and he was talking about how nuts the crazy country is going, that we're crazy. And then he said, speaking of nuts.
Today, new poll shows that 2/3 of Republican voters, think that their own with the liberty to make Biden president. I mean,
let me see.
Bipartisan. And on the other side of crazy, did
Here
you
it
see
is.
what the San Francisco supervisors have done?
Other side of crazy.
Backing reparations, if you're a Black person in San Francisco, of $5 million. Really? No reaction? Okay.
See? Nobody clap.
All right, let me keep going. You get $5 million, elimination of personal debt, of all tax burdens, a guaranteed annual income of $97,000 for 250 years. Wow, must be some health care involved there, too. And a home that you get for $1. And
You don't like that.
Let's see who's clapping there. The first to comment on this was George Santos, who said, as a Black man...
Bill Maher is not a fan of the reparations issue at all. So, before we close, I'm going to go through this, and then we're going to close the segment today. Here's the topic in the news. San Francisco leader show early support for $5 million in reparation payments for eligible Black residents. Keyword eligible. It's not going to every Black person. San Francisco could pay $5 million to each of its Black residents. They're not telling the truth. They need to put eligible Black residents, not every Black residents. That's Fortune magazine. PBS, San Francisco proposed reparation including $5 million for eligible Black people. The right topic. And I can go on and on. San Francisco Reparation Panel on how it decides on $5 million per black person. It's not per black person, bro. Now, we're going to go over this tomorrow, the proposal, or sometimes this week. I can't say tomorrow. They keep calling it African American Reparation Advisory Board. They need to scratch that name. Somebody need to stop that, because this is not for African Americans. I don't know why this keep popping up. It's not for African Americans. Then we're going to go in detail on the proposal. Why they got to do all this? Stop. Information on the guy from Fox News. Told you I was trying to do my research. I think he's Haitian, so he don't qualify for it anyway. So of course he's going to say something negative. But he did show up on Fox News and had to run his mouth about this, but we already heard some of that. So, all right. So tomorrow or sometime this week, we're going to go over it and in detail. But in closing, I want to say this. Understand how this makes us feel. You should not take this personal. We understand that you personally didn't have slaves. You personally didn't oppress anybody or not. We get that. But throughout history, this country has. And they need to pay for it. Everybody, they don't ask nobody to forgive and let go except black people. And if we don't and we black people got to stop being so gullible and so easy and so tenderhearted and stuff like that. I mean, I let it, I ain't gonna hold it against you, but you need to pay up. Give me my money and all things as well. You worked my family to bones, literal bones, to the point where you didn't even feed them. Some of the guys on the railroad tracks didn't get fed until they hit a certain goal. Reparation is owed. As long as this country exists and we exist in this country, we're going to continue to make that demand. And that demand is going to come with interest. That $5 million is not even interest. And we just talking about San Francisco. And we got people, oh God, why did they do this? It's stupid. It's never going to happen. Oh, they crazy and all that kind of. We got to hear all that. Because we're asking for what you owe us. And again, if you were here since the foundation, you know the history. You know it's not right. You know this country got filthy, stinking rich and became the powerhouse country it is because of black ingenuity and free labor. Black ingenuity and free labor. And we didn't get hardly nothing for it. But yet, when it was time to make recompense, the country said, yeah, we're going to make recompense. We're going to give them 40 acres and a mule, which is valued today probably about $5 million. You don't think the country need to pay up or shut up? Well, you're not going to shut up. We're not going to shut up. Until this country pay up, we're not going to shut up. And you can sit here and tell these lies that it's divisive. It's not. You just are upset because they may hear us and may pay us. And you're going to hear all kind of lies, and you're going to make up lies saying it's going to come out of your pocket to the tune of $600 million. And nobody told you that we were going to do this out of your pocket. But if we did, it wouldn't be to that level. You bought into the American dream. You're profiting off the American dream. Then you need to pay a little bit to the people who built it. And that little bit add up to a lot. This government paid for everything under the sun. Some dumb, stupid, and folly and some actually good programs. But it's too much money going to dumb, stupid, and folly. And the country can cut those programs off to take care of this. It doesn't have to come out of your pocket. But even if it did, you should pay your fair share. Everybody talking about rich people need to pay their fair share. People who are not foundation to this country, that's benefiting off the goodies of this country, should pay their fair share to the people who helped build this country. It's not divisive. It's not separatism. It's not a race war. It's just pay us what we owe. Obviously, to some of you people in the media and right wing, that's too much, when that's all we asking you to do. I'm Bob Brown with the Bob Brown Show. Like, share, hit the subscribe button. Go make sure, double check to see if you're subscribed, because it's been a while since I've been up here. So you may be unsubscribed. Go check to see if you're subscribed. And if you're unsubscribed, resubscribe. Hit the notification bell. Make sure it's on all or always. That way you don't miss nothing for it. And if you like to support the stream, drink a little coffee here and there, all you have to do is hit this PayPal account, no super chat PayPal. $1, $2, $3, anything will help. Help brother get a Metro card. I really appreciate it. I love you guys, and I don't say these things just to be saying it. I want my people to get what's owed. It's too long. And we've made great progress on fighting for reparations. And we gotta, as Cody Rowe would say, finish the story. We gotta finish the story. No matter who like it, who don't like it. No matter whether they say it's not divisive or it's divisive. We're not going to pick up guns. We're not going to start a race war over this. It's simple. Pay us what you owe. I'm Bobby Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. I'll let you later. Good morning and good night.
No.